What's going on, guys? We're back again for another episode of Coffee Talks, where I curate some of my favorite coffee and leadership talks from some of my favorite people. And today, man, we brewed up some portrait coffee. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite roasters. They're based out of Atlanta, Georgia. About a month or two ago, I had an Ethiopian they had, which was awesome. So I was like, I wanted to try another blend. And I got this Kenya, and it says on here lemon drop citrus. And I'm telling you right now, sometimes they say notes just to kind of trick you. That's kind of what they do. They just want to make it sound good. But this one, man, as soon as you smell it, you get lemon zest. Almost like a lemon cookie. It is wonderful. Now, the notes on it when you're drinking it are less lemony vibrant, but you definitely get you can tell there's a citrus there. You can tell there's a melon there, a citrus there. It is a really good coffee. The roaster's great. I like their little tagline, pouring a new narrative, i.e. portrait, right? We're creating a story. Good place. You need to check it out. And today on the leadership side, we're going to continue with some Dale Carnegie because that's how we're doing it. We're trying to figure out how to influence people and make friends. And Dale makes a statement. He makes a quote that I want to kind of really key in. Watch this. He says, "You make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." Is that not the truth? Because here's what we need to understand. People are all about themselves. Like, we are focused on ourselves. We think about ourselves. We care about ourselves. That's what we want. That's what we are motivated by. And if we are going to have this influence in people's life and we're going to be attractional, that people want to come and have an experience and want to do life with you, you got to learn that people don't care about how great you are. And that tends to be what we do. We think to influence people, we have to impress people. And we think the key to impress people is to talk about how great we are. That's opposite of it. Actually, the greatest way to influence people and to build great, healthy friendships and have great relationships is when you can learn to actually have an interest in other people, to connect with other people, to actually be thoughtful, not selfish, where you can actually be thoughtful about what that other person is going through. Be a selfless person. Now, for that to happen, I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to take time, it's going to take energy, and it's going to take thoughtfulness. You're going to have to really be intentional with this. It's going to take time, which means you're going to have to give people your most precious commodity, which is your time. That's the one thing. You can't have a savings account and it spills over to the next day. It's the one thing that when it's gone, it is gone. It's why it's important to actually care about that with your children and with your spouses and with those people that mean the most to you. So when you give someone your time, it literally shows honor. It shows priority, and it shows I'm interested in you. Now, what I do with that time, I can either capitalize it or waste it. If I'm wasting it, it's because I'm all about myself and I'm using that time to promote me. But if I'm going to capitalize on it, it's because I'm going to connect with you. So I'm going to give you my energy. I'm going to give you my focus, which means I'm going to put my phones away, which means I'm not going to let my eyes be wandering. I'm going to make eye contact with you, and I'm going to lean in and be engaged in our relationship and our conversation. And then you know what it means? I got to be thoughtful with it. The thing that we love more than anything, the most beautiful sound to a person is the sound of their own voice. We love to hear ourselves talk. And so I've got to learn to be thoughtful with the conversation so that I can prime it to the place where you actually are talking and speaking and answering questions. And so am I coming prepared to actually have an encounter and an engagement with you by having questions and being thoughtful with it? I heard a story John Maxwell said once. He said that when he was new in leadership, he was a pastor at a church in San Diego, and it was a successful church, but he was just starting his leadership journey in writing and being a person of leadership. He had the opportunity to sit down and actually spend a half an hour or an hour with the legendary coach John Wooden, UCLA, the greatest coach ever, but also one of the greatest leaders ever. And he said when he sat down with John, he started having the conversation. He said, "John, I feel bad." He goes, I came with, and he started flipping it. "I came with a page of notes." He goes, "Well, it's actually front and back, so 2 pages." He goes, "Actually, it's not true." And he goes, "I actually came with 3 pages of notes, front and back, 6 pages worth of questions I wanted to ask you. And he said, as soon as I said how many questions I had for John, his ears perked up, his eyes wide. He goes, well, we better get going. And he said, I started asking questions, and we started talking, and we spilled well over an hour. And John goes, you know what? We haven't even come close to touching all your questions. Let's go to lunch. And they went to lunch, and they talked for even longer. And then he said, John Wooden, at the end of it, goes, you know what? We didn't even come close to half of your questions. He goes, we need to schedule another meeting. And he says, this legendary person was so engaged in our conversation. Why? Because I was thoughtful with the questions I brought. And that's true with every leader. Sometimes when there's this person I look up to, this influential person I want in their life, the key is learning to actually be so engaged in that conversation and thoughtful with the questions I ask that they actually want to keep speaking with me. Because I've been on the calls with people that want me to mentor them. They'll ask, can I have some time with you? And I'll sit down with them for coffee, or I'll get on the phone with them, and they have no questions. And it's like I'm the one that's having to get the conversation going. And I'm telling you, it's exhausting. But then I've actually had conversations with people that literally have a list of questions and they're taking notes. And I tell you what, I get off the conversation, I'm energized. And I want to keep speaking with those people because they gave me their time, but they gave me their focus, and they were thoughtful with the conversation. There's a story I heard years ago, and I don't know if it's true, it could be a legend, because sometimes history, that's the way it is, but it was the story of 2 political rivals in Great Britain, William Gladstone and Benjamin Disraeli. Benjamin actually was prime minister, and they actually had dinner with a very prominent lady because they were running their political campaigns. And so William had dinner with her the first night and kind of pitching his political things. And she said afterwards, she goes, when I left that dinner, I thought that William Gladstone was the most brilliant person in all of England. The next night, Benjamin Disraeli actually had dinner with her, and they talked, and of course the whole thing. And she left that, and she goes, when I left dinner with Benjamin Disraeli, I thought I was the most smartest woman in all of England. Who do you think she threw her support to? The one that added value to her. So I'm going to tell you something. If you want to gain influence and build great, healthy friendships and have healthy relationships, you got to learn to show interest in other people and not be so consumed with just you. Guys, can't wait to talk to you next time. Love you guys. Pray God's peace.